Hi guys, in today's video, we are going to do a full Webflow build of this landing page from start to finish. Now, this is episode 4 of the Webflow series. In this tutorial, we are going to assume that you have the basic knowledge of the Webflow. If you have skipped other videos in this series, I urge you to watch those videos. So before starting building in Webflow, we need to export all these assets like images and icons. So first we will export these icons in SVG format. Select all of these icons by holding Shift key. And click on that small plus icon. Select the format, we will choose SVG for icons and save it in the asset folder. Similarly, we will select these images and will export them in PNG format, but we'll increase the quality to 2x. This one will also be in 2x. For these cards, I want to remove these drop shadow and their roundness, and we'll export these cards also in 2x. You can export these cards and mobile mockup in one image, but in case if you want to add some interaction and animation, then you have to export these elements individually. This time I will export this as one image, but also in 2x. Okay, so we have exported all the assets to the assets folder. Let's create a new site. We will choose again the blank site, name it Doingly and create. Before building something, let's import those assets to the project file. Select these all assets by holding Shift key and open. Or you can directly drag these assets to the canvas. One thing more, we used two fonts in this project, Monument Extended and Montserrat. So go to the project setting, fonts, and upload your font here. We only need that Monument Extra Bold, and the Montserrat is already available inside Webflow. Upload font file, and let's go back to the designer. Now we are ready to start. If you see in the hero section, we have the text and the buttons on the left and the images on the right. So the first thing that we need is the section, and we'll name it as a section. The second thing is the container to hold our content inside. This time we will not use the Webflow native container because they have a fixed width of 940 pixels. So we will use our own container to have full control over it. I'm going to hit this one, which means center this element. And I'm not going to set the maximum width for the container like we did in the previous video, because if you see, we have kept an 80 pixel of fixed padding for all the sections. For that, we can set padding of 5 EM on all the sides. Why I'm using EM, we already discussed it in the previous video in detail. Actually, EM is a really useful and proportional padding. And we will use mostly the relative units in this project like percentages, EMs, viewport width, and viewport height. I'm going to call this container. I want to add another div block to hold our hero content. We will add two more div blocks for the hero image and the text. You can use the grid layout also for this kind of section, but we will use normal divs for now. By default, it's vertically aligned. Just turn on the flexbox and you can see it's now horizontal. The left block should keep 55% of the parent div and call this hero left. And the right one should be hero right. So if you see, the hero heading is not that simple. We used an icon and that small underline below the text. So for that, we will use separate div blocks for each line. I'm going to call this headline div. For the icon, we will add another div block. Call this icon div. So let's put that icon inside of it. And also that heading. Let's start styling it, and I'm not going to add a class to it. I'm going to edit all h1 heading. So if we have that again on the different page, it's going to have the same style. It should be monomet extended. For the font size, we will again use EM units because of responsiveness. But how we can convert pixel value into EMs? If you see, the text size is 45 pixel and the line height is 70 pixel. For this, we have a tool called Wizardry, which is created by Timothy Riggs. He's a well-known figure in the Webflow community. So this is a pixel to EM converter. The font size is 45 pixel and our artboard size is 1440 pixel. Now the size in EM is 3.13 EM. Copy that and paste it here. But we can use 3 EM and a round figure. Similarly, for the line height, font size is 45 pixel and the line height there is 70 pixel. So in EM, the line height should be about 1.5 EM. And also need a little bit of letter spacing. And it should be black. So copy the text by pressing Ctrl C and paste it here by pressing Ctrl V. And also we need to set the body text to 1 viewport width. Viewport width is actually the percentage measured based on the viewport, and it is the closest to the default 16 pixel on desktop view. Again, this is vertically aligned, make it horizontal and make it center aligned. Need a little margin here, but again not in pixel. 1 EM is fine, I think. Now just copy and paste this headline div 2 times more and delete these icons. Now copy and paste other lines too. Here we have this underline type object. For this, we will add a div block. The height should be about 10 pixel and the width should be 15 EM. And the background color should be that light purple color. Just copy that hex code and paste it here. If you want to add this color to the swatches panel, hit that plus icon. Now I want to make this object underneath the doing word. For this, we will change the position from static to absolute. But before that, we need to understand CSS Position Properties. The first one is static. Static is just the default. Everything we put on the page will be static, or things stack on top of each other or next to each other based on what kind of element it is. That's static. Relative. A relative position element is just like a static element, but you can move it around by unlocking more options. But it doesn't affect the position of the other content on the page. In relative, you are positioning it relative to its default position. That's what it means. In relative position, elements are relative to itself. You can also set units like percentages instead of pixels or other relative units. You can also set the z-index. Z-index controls are used to bring things to the front or to the backward. So if we set this image also to relative and move it to the left, so the blue image is below this image. No, I want to bring forward the blue image. We'll set the higher value and you can see the image is on the front. And similarly, wants this one to the top. Set the value higher than that. And if you want to send things to the back, set the lower value. What about absolute positioning? If we set this image to absolute, now it's no longer part of the document flow. So if we set the left and the top position to 0, you can notice the image is now placed way on the top left of the body element. And here we have all sorts of controls. We can choose from these presets to position things. Absolutely positioned elements will position themselves around the body element. But if you want your element to be positioned around your parent element, set your parent element to relative. And you can see the image is now relative to the parent element. That's because absolute positioning looks for the first thing it finds that's not set to static. Let's talk about fixed positions. If absolute positions elements for positioning things around the body element, fixed is just like absolute but around the viewport or the browser. If we set this element to fixed, just like absolute, it's no longer in the document flow. If we set this to the top left, this is going to stay on the top left even if we scroll up or down. Fixed positions are helpful when we want to build a pop-up message or a banner like this. If we set this banner to fixed and to the bottom, so you can see if we scroll, it remains in the same spot. The last one is sticky positioning. If we set this element to sticky and justify the bottom position to 0, and we start scrolling, once it hits the boundary, it will start moving with that boundary, but respect the boundaries of the parent element it's inside. So the key to sticky positioning is telling it how far you can scroll before it sticks. So let's make it absolute. Now you can see it's relative to the body, right? If we change the position of its parent element from static to relative position, then you can see it's now relative to that parent box. So now we can align it from here. Top left, and you can adjust the position from here. But we will use EM instead of percentage here. We will set the Z index to -1 to bring it to the back. I'm going to call this underline, and I think it needs a little more width. It looks perfect now. Okay, copy this paragraph. The size is 25 pixels and regular. Again, we will select that hero left and we'll add that paragraph. Paste your text here. This time I'm not going to edit all paragraph, but I will add a new class to it because this hero paragraph is different from other page paragraphs. So let's check what is the value in EM of 25 pixel. 1.75, copy and paste it here. Change the font to Montserrat. The line height should be 1.5 EM. The max width should be 80% to match this one. So this is too close to the heading and obviously needs some margin on this. For these two CTAs, we will add another div block, and I will call it buttons wrapper. For the button, we'll add another one, and the width of the button should be about 220 pixel, and the height should be 60 pixel. Also change the background color to black. And I want to add some roundness. So for the icon and text, we will add 2 more div blocks. I'm going to call this CTA, but the problem here is we used the simple div block for the button. Actually, we need to use a link block which you can add from here, but you can directly convert it into a link block. Just right click on this block and convert it into link block. So 2 divs for the icon and the text. Make it horizontal. Add your Play Store icon here. When we add the text to the link block, by default it shows the text like this, but we can make changes from here. Remove underlined text and make it white. Available on. Add text for Google Play. Change the font to Montserrat. Available on should be 16 pixel and Google Play should be 20 pixel and bold. Now we will stylize our button by using Flexbox in the display setting. Everything should be in the center like that. I want to add some padding from the left and right and a little from the top and bottom. So the icon is too small, so we'll add a little margin first and it should take 25% of the parent element. 100 or 95% of the parent box. Now it looks great. For the second button, we will just copy and paste this button. So you can change the icon from here. We'll make it horizontal first. I want to add some margin for the space here. This button will be for the App Store. For this reviews text, we will add another div block and we'll call it Reviews Wrapper. Inside this, we will add another one for this text. Right here 200 million. So whenever we write something here, it's in an Arial font. So we will make the setting in body all pages state. One viewport with Montserrat and black. But this is Monument extended. It should be 1.5 EM. Line height should be 1.25 EM. Add another text for downloads. It should be about 1.25 EM. So copy and paste it for this text again. 4.5, 1 million reviews. For that star icon, we will add a separate div block for the text and the icon. Add image placeholder and choose that star icon. Again, it's vertical, make it horizontal, and also this one. Here we need a separate line like this. Add a div block for this. Give it 2 pixels of it and the background should be black. Drag it to the center and we'll give it some margin on both sides. Too close to the buttons, need top margin on this. We have completed our hero's right side. So let's do that right side too. Before that, I want to give 90 VH to the content wrapper to hold 90% of the viewport. Now, I want to add that background image directly here. This image will be 100% of the parent element. Now, we will add other images too. So add a div block inside this, add image placeholder and the image. You can see the image is showing us below that image, but we want to bring this image to the front of the background image. So we will change the position from static to absolute. Now, it's relative to the body. We will make the parent element to relative and also make this image relative and the z index to -3 to bring it to the back. This image is now relative to the parent element, but the image is too big. So we will set the maximum width 85% is fine, I think, and position it to the top left or bottom left, so we can adjust further positions of the elements from here. Let's add another one. Choose image. Again, it's too big. We'll set the max width to 80% and the position to absolute. Bottom left, bring this one upward. So we will adjust the position here like we did in our Figma design. Now, the last thing in the hero image is that element. Add a div block, choose image and select icon. Make it absolute and we'll align it to that corner. The next thing is, if you see these texts align with the bottom of the image and need to adjust some text spacing. So we will add a separate div block for the above heading and buttons. We'll call it hero text and buttons. So put these texts and buttons in this div block. But keep these reviews text outside. Select hero left, flex box, vertical, and justify it side by side. And add some margin to the text box like that. 100 pixels should be fine. So the hero section is almost completed. For the navigation bar, we will add a nav bar from the add panel. It should be on the top, and you can see by default it has that gray color in the background, but we will change it to transparent. And the brand, we will add our logo, add image, and choose your logo. Again, instead of this container, we will put our own container. Now we will add a div block and we'll apply that container class. So put these brands, nav menu and menu button in this container. And delete that one. So for these nav links, we used a hamburger menu in the design for the desktop. But I want to show you how to add nav links in the navigation bar. Delete these two and we'll keep this one. In the footer, we have those links. So the first one is features. And create a class for it, nav links. Copy and paste it for the second one, templates, pricing, and resources. Now the links are created, but I want here the hamburger menu like we did in the design. Here in the setting panel, you can see the menu icon is showing for the tablet view and below other devices. But if I turn it on for the desktop view, then we will be able to see it on the desktop too. But the menu icon is not too good. I will change the icon. Just add an image placeholder and add the icon. Delete that one, and I want to remove that right side padding to match this to the design. And justify the hero content wrapper side by side. So again here we need to keep about 80 pixels of space on the top. For that, we will remove the top padding from the section. But before, we will create a combo class to not affect other classes. The menu needs a little top and bottom margin here. Now see if there is any more adjustment needed. If we preview it, you can see the design is pretty responsive, but it is still for desktops. Let's move to the second section. Add a new section. Apply that section class. In the second section, we have that heading and these 4 feature points. So drag that heading here, but this time H2, and that was H1. We will edit all H2 tags if they are in the other pages too. Font should be monument extended, the size should be 2 em, and the line height should be 1.5 em. Need a little bit of letter spacing. So the background of the section is black. For that, we will add a combo class. So if we change the color, it will not affect the others. Now, I want to make the text color white, but I will not edit all H2 tag this time. I'll make changes in this class. Copy the text and paste it here. So for these features, we will add a div block. Call it features point and add grid inside the div block. We will use grid this time. Here we have the columns and rows. Through this small plus button, we can add columns or rows, or through this small plus button. But if you want to delete, you can do that from here. And you can increase or decrease the spacing between columns and rows. So the way grids work in Webflow is very handy and also very useful. In our case, we need only 4 columns, so delete the row and add 2 more columns. Add a div log inside one of its column. After that, add an image placeholder and choose an icon. Then copy that text, and for this, we will add heading, but this time H3. Make it white and paste the text here. So the size is 20 pixel. Let's check what it should be in EM. 1.39 EM, copy and paste it here. The line height should be 1.5 and the text should be center aligned. Now add paragraph and for the size, so it is 16 pixel. Let's see what should be in EMs. 1.11 EM. Paste here. Again, the line height should be 1.5 EM. Copy the text and paste it here. And it should be middle aligned. Need to align the icon with the text also. Flexbox, vertical and middle align. Actually, the icon is not for task, so change it. So for the others, we will just copy the div and paste it by pressing Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, and we'll make the changes. It needs a little bit of adjustment and spacing. I want to give it some margin on top to keep it a little space from the top. 70 pixel is fine. So section 2 is completed. Let's move down to the third section. Now add a section. Apply that section class. As we are repeating the same things again and again, we will go a little faster for the remaining sections. So in the design, we have the image and this text like the hero section. So add a div log. Apply that container class. Inside the container, I want to add another div log to hold the section content called sec wrapper. Inside this div log, we will add two more for the image and the text. Make it horizontal. The left one should be section left and the right one should be section right. Section left should take 55% of the parent and section right should take 45% of the parent. First, we will do the right side. So copy the text, add the heading element but H2, and you can see all the H2 tag properties are applied. Paste the text. Also add a paragraph. Copy the paragraph text and it is 20 pixel. Paste it here. So this time we will edit all paragraph tags because this paragraph should be used in other pages too. So for 20 pixel it's 1.39 em. The line height should be 1.5. Now need a read more button. For this, we will add a text link right. Remove that line from it and it should be in that color but a little darker for the text. Bold and the size is 25. So in EM, it should be 1.74. Too close to the paragraph will give it margin on top. For those two buttons, just copy those buttons and paste it here. The heading needs a little padding to match the design. Now on the left side, we have this image. So add in div log. Inside this div, add image placeholder, choose image, and this one. It is too big. It should be 40%. I want to add about 6 em padding on the side. Now we will add these three. Add a div, image placeholder, this one. Again, this is too big, should be 40%. And it should be absolute, so the parent div should be in relative. Now, it is relative to the parent div. So position it top left and we will adjust the position like we did in the design. And so it need drop shadows. Turn on box shadow. This is also like a Figma drop shadow panel, very easy to understand. We can increase or decrease the distance, blur, size, color, transparency. So we added the drop shadow and now it needs a little roundness. And I want to give it a light gray border. Now we will add a second one. Add a div log, image placeholder, choose image, this one. It should be 35%. absolute, top left, and we will adjust the position from here. It also needs some roundness. We will apply the box shadow, but this shadow is blue, so we will use eyedropper to take that color, and we'll adjust the distance and size of the shadow from here. Similarly, we will stylize the fourth one. So for this graphic element, we will add again a div. Choose an image, but we need to reflect it. Turn on 2D, 3D transform, rotate, and 180 degree. Make it absolute, and it should be 7%. Top left, and we will align it to the corner of the mockup. So you can see it is too close to the second section, so we will give some bottom margin on the second section. And this text should center align to the image. So the third section is completed, except to change this read more button from bold to semi-bold. Let's move to section 4. This is pretty simple section, just those headings, text, and that image. So add a section, apply that section class. Inside this section, add a div log, apply that container class. Now add a div log to hold our section content. Let's call it section wrapper. We will add 2 more div logs. But I think we used this class before. This is actually horizontal, but we need to align those content vertically. So delete this class and apply a new class. Let's call it section content wrapper. We will talk about how to name a class later, but for now this is just fine. Add another one for that image. This is now vertically aligned. So add a heading, but H2. We'll make it center aligned. Copy that text and paste it here. Call this div section text wrapper. Also add a paragraph. Copy the text and paste it here. Call it paragraph middle. Align it middle, and the maximum width should be 800 pixels. Make the element center align in the parent box and copy that read more button and paste it here. Now for the image, let's call this section image. Add an image placeholder. Choose image, but the image is too big. Let's make it 50% of the parents, but align it center. Also need a little bit of margin on the top. Okay, between these two sections, we need a separator line. So copy that hex code, and we will add a div log between these two sections with 2 pixels of height, and put that color code here. Call it a separator line. Let's move down further to the pricing section. Add a section, apply section class, add a div for the container, apply container class. So we have this heading, this small paragraph, and these 3 cards. So first we will apply that black class. Inside this container, we will again add a div to hold our section content and apply that section text wrapper class. So we will copy that heading, but first name it as h2 white. Paste it here. Copy the text and paste it here. And add a paragraph called white middle. So copy the text and paste it here. Now for these 3 cards, we will add another div and call this pricing card wrapper. Inside this, we will add grid. But we will remove this row and we'll add a column. Hit done. So add a div log for the first card. For the free, add a text and make it white for now. It should be bold. The size is 24 pixel, but in EM it should be 1.67 EM. But I think 2 EM should be fine. Add another text for starters. It should be 1.2 and the line height should be 1.5 EM. Add another text for price, middle line, and should be 3.4 EM. And the line height should be 1.5 EM. So the card is actually white and the text inside it is black. Also, need to add a button here. Copy the text for the button. The background color of the button should be that light purple, semi-bold, and the text inside it should be about 1.2 EM. Now, I want to make this button stretch to the sides, flexbox, and vertical, and also the button. So now I want to give it 20 pixel of padding from the sides. Also the roundness. A little bit to the button. Okay, so I want to increase the spacing in between about this much is fine. And we will give some padding. 70 pixel is great. Okay, we'll adjust the spacing between elements by giving margins. Now just copy this and paste it for the second one. Now this card is for propane, a little different from others, so we will create a combo class. But first I will give it a proper name, pricing card. So create a combo class, Pro. Give it a stroke of 5 pixel and that light purple color. Here we need that tag, so we'll add a div inside this. We'll add another one. Call it saving tag. The background color should be that purple. Add a text block, write save 50%. It should be wide 1.1 em. The line height should be 1.5 em and semi-bold or bold. And the text should be in the center. Also add a little padding and make it absolute. The parent box should be relative and adjust the position from here. We will make it center line. This tag needs some roundness. For this text, we need another text block. Built annually. It should be gray. The size should be 1.1 em. The line height 1.5 and a little bit of margin. Copy the first one and paste it here. Now we will just copy the text and paste it for every car and we'll adjust the space. Now, for this graphic element, we will add a div block. Add image placeholder, choose image. I think we didn't export it icon. Let's export it. Put this inside the pricing card wrapper, make it absolute. The parent box should be relative. Make it top left align and adjust the position. So let's move to the footer section. Add a div for the container. Here this section has a 5 em margin on the bottom, so we will remove that black class and will apply a new class pricing. Okay, so in the footer we have these elements in 4 columns. So we will use grid again. Add a div for to hold footer content, call it footer wrapper. So add a grid for these. We need 4 columns. Add 2 more columns, head down. Add a div block and add an image placeholder for the logo. Under the logo, we will add a paragraph. Copy the text and paste it here. Inside the div, we will add a text link. Remove that underline. It should be black. The size should be 1.39 em. And the line height should be 1.5 em. Copy the text and paste it here. So copy this text block and paste 3 more times. Copy the text and paste it here and adjust the spacing. And for those social media icons, we will add a div first. Inside this div, we will add a link block. Now, we will add an image placeholder. Choose image and that Facebook icon. Copy the link block and paste for the second one and change the icon. Similarly for the others. So I want to align it vertically by using this flex box. And I want to give it some padding, and for the space need a little margin. So for these others, we will apply that class directly. And in the last, we have those two buttons. So we will add a div first and just these buttons wrapper. But here we need to make it vertically aligned. But before that, we need to add a combo class. Also add a combo class to this button to give it some margin and delete that top margin. And need to adjust the spacing in between. So let's check again if there is anything that wants some changes or adjustment. So these elements should be 10% of the parent. I think this is fine. So we did only the design in which we have used mostly the relative units like percentages, EMs, viewport weight and viewport height. So it will be easy to make it responsive for the other devices. In the next video, we will learn about responsiveness and including a little bit of interaction. Stick around.